Hey footballers, today we're going to take a look at Erling Haaland's shooting technique. So a couple of the factors that I'm pointing out here, just some things to be aware of, whether you want to shoot like Haaland or not. So when you're practicing, for example, turning out your ankle, maybe you might experiment with turning it out a bit more, turning it in. You'll see what I mean in a bit. Let's look at this clip here first. So one thing I noticed here and in some other clips is you see Erling Haaland's foot. It's kind of stretched out a bit more like this way. Not exactly all the way out, but not exactly the side foot either. And you see how he winds up. It's more of like a winding up as if he was hit with the laces. Because as he comes down, you see here, it kind of looks like he's doing it with the side of the foot, but it's not. This is like more the instep, or closer to the laces. Sometimes when you see it from far away, it kind of looks like they're just side-footing it, but this is more towards the instep. And what's more is, as he comes, you see that foot kind of like turns in a little like that. You see the fall through just to guide it. Yeah, there's a couple other clips I saw. Haaland, like his like foot was like this, and then as he came down, like he like turned it more like towards 90 degrees. Not all the way 90 degrees, maybe like a bit here, and then sometimes kind of turn that ankle just to guide it to that bottom corner. Now let's look at this goal by Erling Haaland. So you see as Erling Haaland winds up to shoot, you see where his front foot is? It's kind of like pointed more directly to where he's going to shoot. And what I mentioned before, what Kane did was a lot of times he points like more up there and then either finishes here or finishes to this post there. But another thing to point out is you see when Haaland plants his kicking foot, it's a little bit out to the side here, but I find a lot of times, especially with Kane's technique, the foot's a bit pointed out more, so that kind of suggests he's using more of the side of the foot. Or when he goes over there, it's more of the instep. But since it's like he's pointed more straight ahead with his plat foot, that kind of tells me he's using more of the laces. So just to go over it a bit, like a lot of times, like you do open that hip. So I mentioned before, like you kind of have that foot turned out a little bit to the side. It's more turned out to the side, more of the side of the foot that you're using. And then like if you're using more of the laces, it's only turned out a little bit because you don't need to open that hip out as much initially. So that kind of suggests that what I've been thinking before as with the previous clip is, as he comes in here, he winds up as if he's hitting it with the laces. But, as he comes down, here you kind of sees like he's already like starting to turn his foot more 90 degrees. But he's more trying to hit with the instep rather than the side of the foot to get a little bit more power. And here's another clip of Erling Haaland's goal. So like before, he winds up like this, like he's gonna hit it with the laces. Because sometimes a lot of times when you hit with the side of the foot, people tend not to wind up as much. But again, that kind of tells me he's hitting more with like the instep more towards the laces rather than purely with the side of the foot. So as he comes to the ball, you see first his ankle is a bit back. It's not perfectly 90 degrees. And then as he comes forward, you see as he finishes it, it's more like 90 degrees like this. So that kind of tells me like he's trying to like get his laces on and then kind of guide it by turning his foot in. Now you get more power, but I find it's a lot less accurate. You see here, kind of like roofs it like over there. I'm not sure that's what he meant, but I find like sometimes they give the keepers out enough and like initially we're trying to like slot it to one of the bottom corners, but maybe he's close enough that he maybe could get a hand to it if you just place it with less power. So maybe in certain situations you want to hit it with more power. So even if he like gets a hand to it, it could ricochet and go in. So here's my first attempt at trying to imitate Haaland's shooting technique. So as I come here, as I plant my foot, my foot is planted a little bit to the side. Where I'm going to shoot. Again, Haaland, I think it was more direct, so that kind of tells he's hitting more towards the laces or instep, whereas I'm going more to the side of the foot and hitting across. And then you kind of see like, as they finish, it's kind of like sweeps up like this. Whereas I think Haaland, like, as he comes, he's more like almost wrapping the foot, or turning his foot rather, while hitting more like, I guess, not as 90 degrees, but his like foot's a bit more out. Here's another attempt where I try to go more towards the laces and then turn my foot in. So as you see in the top corner, I was actually aiming bottom corner. So like I said before, you get more power, but it's a bit less accurate, and it's harder to keep that ball on the ground. So as I come to the ball, I think my foot's pointed a little bit more towards the side where Haaland was. Haaland would be a bit more direct for his plant foot. But you kind of see where my shooting foot is. You see as I come here, rather than I kind of like sweep up like this, you see where my foot kind of turns in. It's kind of hard to tell, but I was really trying to use my laces, and then as I hit the ball, trying to turn my foot in to guide it more bottom corner. And here's an attempt where it was a bit more bottom corner. So it would have been better if it was more like down here rather than kind of looping, because that's what I've been trying to do to be more consistent. But as I come here, you see, like, same principle is like here, I'm like trying to wind up as if I'm hitting it with the laces, and then when I get here, you can kind of see it's almost at the laces instep area. It's not directly to the side of the foot, and as I make contact with the ball, that's where I try to wrap my foot around. One scientific thing to note is you see as Haaland like hits the ball, you see where he follows through. You see his foot kind of like goes straight like this. So I guess that's the way to keep it more on the ground while using more towards the laces or instep area. I think also maybe having it closer to your body, you're able to go out and like keep your foot in this trajectory. Whereas like kind of like if the ball's out here, you have a tendency to try to reach for it like this. So I might practice that and a bit.